There's no hood latch in there anymore because this is getting pins anyways.
That's really all I had to do was cut the hood latch off.
Yeah. I mean, it looks like it almost would fit
without
still.
Without a bottom bar, I think it would fit in there.
Yeah.
Well, actually.
Oh yeah,
Let's get that in there. But it'll fit.
Yeah. So the hood latch would still fit.
Shit, should I make that work?
Probably.
Build a bracket from the backside?
Probably, yeah.
Let's do that.
Just a little something just to triangulate it.
Yeah.
Make it strong again.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
Let's absolutely do that. Yeah, it fits in between the fans. I didn't even realize that. It fits even like at an angle hanging down.
Pressure in front of it is optimal.
Yeah, there's a big hole.
There's a big huge gap over there.
And over here as well.
And one thing people don't realize is heat exchangers operate from differential pressure across the heat exchanger, not just from exposure to air. You have to have difference pressure. You got to have a high pressure on this side, low pressure on this side. So in order to do that, we got to trap the air in front of it, keep the high pressure in front of it, and then prevent air from pressurizing the engine bay. So without a scoop being blocked by a top mount, we got to block it off, otherwise it'll pressurize the engine bay and make heat exchangers work less effectively. Or you do a top mount oil cooler or whatever, but you seal it to the scoop. Is like the only dry-wire throttle body where both voltages on the TPS sensors climb, which is like against the entire industry. Almost every other manufacturer, if not every other manufacturer, uses a drive-by-wire TPS sensor inside the motor where one of them goes up in voltage and one goes down in voltage as the throttle opens, and consequently as it shuts too, right? Because one's going to go up or down. So Subaru, however, they both go up. They have different starting points, and one of them has less voltage. One of them only uses like 2.5 volts going up, the other uses like 3.5 volts going up, which is really interesting. And so that's one reason why getting different throttle bodies for a Subaru is so freaking hard, because the voltages don't behave like any other engine or manufacturer on the market, which is pretty interesting. So when you go to a standalone that's more capable of running all the different drive-by-wire systems, you get the ability to put whatever the hell you want on there. And this is the cable throttle for an SVX. It's a dual inlet throttle body as well, but it's cable, and I'm using a VA, drive-by-wire setup. Man, that is bulky, huh? There's an idle control motor up top, then the cable throttle, all that shit all in here. TPS over here. That's just a big setup. Well, here's the same thing. I mean, the drive-by-wire does idle control, and it has two ports on it. Actually, it has 2 intake air temp sensors too, which I think is interesting. There's intake air temp sensors bank to bank, but that's how they have it. I can only assume they have some air-water intercoolers that come off of here on both sides, and that's why they have IATs on each bank. But what's really interesting about it, even though this is smaller, which is kind of a bummer, it's a little smaller here, this side is the same. It's the same bore. This outer bore is the same as this guy. Pretty close, at least. It's like really, really close. Almost the exact same. So here's the gasket for the EG right here. And you can see it's the same bore spacing too. So it's the exact same bore spacing, nearly the exact diameter. The only thing that's off is 5 of the 6 bolts. Damn it, 5 of that one's perfect. And then these guys are all off. So we're just going to put a plate on the front of the manifold, fill in the other holes, re-drill to the right size, and then tap it, and then you use that throttle body.
But basically, I just got to build a bracket off this bottom to give it a little bit more support, tie it into this bottom piece as well as this back piece, because it's going to want to move this way as well as up and down. So, okay. But this all fits how it is now. So
around the shroud.
Yep. So gotcha. All we got to do is make this blower bracket.
And then that way, you have the support that you need, but then at the same time, with that bracket, you're just going to bolt it straight to that bracket, so it's still removable if ever needed to be.
Yeah, that bracket can be taken out if you need to.
Fun fact, my lighting of crank pulley fits the EG33s. It's the same design as the EGA crank pulley. So it's a bolt-on fit for any of you SVX owners. And I had anticipated putting one on this engine because it's pretty and it's gold. And so I took the factory one off, factory pulley, and I got it off, I put mine on, I go, oh, that fits really nice. And I took mine back off again, and I looked down at the cover, and I saw this. And I thought, what would cause the factory pulley to hit the cover? Well, obvious things would be deformation of the cover due to age, heat, temperature, crackage, breakage, exposure to oil, whatever, you know, could cause it to deform and push in there. But the other one is crankshaft thrust, and I was like, well, I really hope it's just because this is really swollen, nasty, and it's cracked right here. You see it cracked here, so it's being pushed into the pulley. But I should probably check the thrust anyways on the engine. And so I did a super inaccurate, quick method. I just put this bolt back in here. And grab this pry bar. And I put a little pressure on it. And I felt movement. And if you listen, you might be able to hear that in the video, I don't know. But you can hear how much thrust there is audibly. It's quite a bit, it's making quite a bit of noise. And you can feel it. It's probably 10 thou, 12 thou. I haven't put a dial indicator on it, but it's more than should be allowed. On any engine really, you should have, you know, 2 to 8 thou max of thrust. I think super spec is 2 to 6, 2 to 4, I don't recall. But it's a lot less than that, unfortunately. So now the dilemma is, what do? Do we take this thing apart and try and put new bearings in it? Hope that the crankshaft's good? And put new thrust bearing in it, or what? What the heck do we do? So,
oh, well, that was me. I didn't realize you guys had.
I think we decided we're going to put the EZ30 in instead. I had an EZ30 that I bought. I was going to put in my RS. We put it in the RS, and the amount of stuff needed to put it in the RS was just too great due to the size of the engine and the cooling, and if I wanted to make air conditioning and everything else, it just became too much. And so I took it back out and put a 4-cylinder back in it. So I have an EZ30, not a whole lot of miles on it, and I think we're going to put that in the STI instead.
This is a swap that is not very commonly done. So that means a lot of stuff, as you guys have been seeing, is custom. I'm hoping we don't have many more of these speed bumps because we still are on a very, very tight deadline.